Hi everyone, number one Marmaduke fan here, and sumo spoiler 'em for this book. This is another one of my 50-cent buys, and I dug it. Uh, Rex by Daniel Zezel. This guy's got a high pedigree. He's worked for Vertigo, DC, Marvel, so you may have heard of him. He's getting a lot of high praise from other artists in the industry. So when I first picked this up, I totally racially profiled the guy and thought this would be kind of a Luke Cage story, and it is a revenge story with kind of a hard-boiled, Frank Miller, Sin City-esque type of character. But the drawing is really worth looking at. Let's look at some of the artists who are giving this guy praise. Okay, Tim Bradstreet for The Punisher, Hellblazer, and Criminal Macabre, and he kind of makes the observation that it's an ink chiseled style, and I agree. It's a drawing that focuses on form rather than contour line or rather than cartooning. Ho-Che Anderson, I've read his Martin Luther King biography, so I can see how he kind of gels with an artist like Zezelj. And Brian Wood, I don't know this guy at all. DMZ, Northlanders, and Demo, but I think he's got a good feel for this type of book as well. Punch in the gut, hard landscapes, tough characters, shocking violence. This does deserve its mature reader's rating. The violence is kind of shocking. The language is kind of shocking. There's like some overt like Playboy pornographic images in it. So I'm going to try to skip that stuff and focus on the beauty of the drawing, which is what I'm really connecting with. This intro by Brian Azzarello was a bit cheesy because he's talking about, faking his ID and going to hear some punk bands, but I think he's also making a good observation that this is a sculptor-like drawing style. It implies a lot of three dimensions. That's it, form. When I was roasting Pantheon a bit, I made the comment that it felt like, the muscles were just like little blotches of ink on top of a flat arm rather than a form. And Zezelj gets the idea of a three-dimensional form. I mean, this whole intro, look at how raw that roar is, but this whole intro is kind of like postmodern-ish and echoes what's said throughout the rest of the book. I do detect some use of photographic references in a lot of these images, but it's so artful because I don't know whether he's using ink or charcoal or purely digital drawing, but whatever he's doing, he's creating an overall texture and overall feel that helps give the photographic references, if he's even using photographic references, it still connects with the total work. I mean, some of this that looks like kind of a photo of a car based on how eerily accurate the details is. Usually, even if you're very good and you freehand draw it, there's going to be enough mistakes that it's going to depart from reality slightly. But it's simple enough. It's deceptively realistic. Solid black, solid white, some grays, some details. A license plate that looks very photographic. But you could. It's not unreasonable to draw this well just from your imagination. So. While I do think he might be using photographs because there's kind of a different flavor to these types of images than to his drawings of people, he's good enough he's so good at understanding form and texture that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's not even using photo references for some of that. Drawing about form versus thinking about form in drawing versus thinking about line in drawing. One of my art teachers, I'm going to do a video on my art teachers, and I'll probably give them code names or something so that I can talk about the effect they had on me. But we'll call this one codename Renaissance Man. So Professor Renaissance Man, when I was first starting to draw very seriously, one of his opening techniques was to give everyone in the class Vine charcoal when most of us had just kind of drawn anime characters in pencil in high school, and the purpose of that was to kind of break everyone down to their foundational level and to give us a tool that is not meant to be drawn with like a pencil, but is meant to be used to create broad swaths. Vine charcoal is a bit more like chalk or like pastel, where it's a long skinny stick and you hold it sideways and you make big sweeping motions with it. And so, boy, I ought to just get some Vine charcoal and demonstrate it for you guys, because that changed the way I look at art a lot. But pretty much because it's not like a pencil, because it's it's a shading medium. It's a medium that encourages you to think about shadow and three-dimensionality in form, as opposed to the outside line, the cartoon outline of the person you're drawing. It's working with that makes you think about the interiors, and that's what this drawing style had me connect with. Really hard, very Frank Miller-y, black and white, but maybe even a better observer of human facial features and human, musculature. I mean, I still exaggerated and idealized, but so solid. Man, there's that roaring expression again. I want to find his drawing of Ida, because that's where, yeah, she's naked, so sorry, guys. Oh, too late. Sorry, kids. Sorry, moms. But anyway, this form, I'm really digging this. So one solid contour line, and then I don't think this was photographic, because it's really hard to find photographs that capture the form this beautifully. You can put a model in really great lighting to kind of get this information about lights and shadows, and I'm sure he's doing life drawing, but it takes a lot of kind of careful study, of a human body to get that feel down right. I guess I'm kind of bloviating a bit, but I'll throw shade on this one drawing where her neck is sort of as long as that weirdo Antifa professor who appeared on Tucker Carlson. I guess when people idealize women, we tend to give them, long necks. That's sometimes a sign of beauty in mannerist art, but this is just kind of on the edge of being a little bit creepy. It's so long, but overall really cool. Man, I dug when there was like violence and fighting, like he'd turn things like blood into this big abstract shape. I want to find one of his drawings of a cityscape. So, okay, here we go. So here's where you can kind of see why I think he might be using photographs for his cityscapes. Is they're much more grainy and textured than some of his solid black and white drawings of people. But boy, I'm just still digging this so much, and this guy is an artist's artist. I want to try to find his history, because I want a Luke Cage story by this guy. I feel like Rex is a better Luke Cage than the current Luke Cage is. So let's see. He's worked for DC Vertigo, Image, Marvel, New York Times, Harper's, San Francisco. I don't even know what that is. Okay, but I dug it. If you are a fan of Frank Miller and particularly Sin City, you're gonna dig this. But even better understanding of human form than Frank Miller. So Rex D'Angelo Zizelge, little. I mean, I'm kind of like a innocent guy at heart, so I can read mature stuff. So I guess I got to give it a little bit of a trigger warning, for the hard violence and the sexual stuff. But real hard hitting. The beauty of the drawing is winning me over, even if the content is something that I normally kind of upsets me a little bit. But I love it, guys. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. Another cool 50-cent bin find. Catch you later.